man.
What if you were dealing with a loved one or one of your crew members who, say it's a girlfriend or something, she gets bit. She's freaking out.
This is incriminating.
Huh? I'll answer.
These are hypothetical answers.
I think you just gotta shoot her. Maybe you hug her and you just pull out the gun and just.
Yeah.
I don't know. You gotta go.
That's
Gotta
insane.
go. What are you gonna do? What am I gonna let you?
What are the odds that they're gonna
Be okay.
voluntarily ride off into the
Right.
sunset?
What if it doesn't? What if it? The what ifs of. Maybe they just. I'm good. I think I'm okay.
Yeah, no, you're not.
No, you're not.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is, yeah. The black bear.
It's always a good hang.
Welcome back to Good Hang.
We named it.
We named it where it's always random, but it's always a good hang. Today, this is a big episode for us today, and let me kind of jump into this real quick before we actually get to the topic that we were going to talk about. Today is our 6th episode, right?
Number 6, yeah.
So we're actually beating some statistics by filming a 6th episode. I found this on Google, and it says, according to some sources, a small percentage of podcasts make it past a certain number of episodes. So take it with a grain of salt. It doesn't actually list the sources, but let's go. There's 6 bullet points here. I'd like to go through them, and some of them we have, some of them we don't, but it's some stuff to be proud of. So 80% of podcasts don't survive the first 10 episodes. We haven't gotten that yet, but
We will. Yeah.
90% of podcasts don't make it past episode 3.
90%? Is that what you said?
90%.
Wow. That's nuts.
94% of podcasters fail to reach the 100th episode. I'm determined to get to the 100th episode.
Yeah, we'll get there.
50% of podcasts are likely to pod fade, which I'm not really sure what that term means right now, but I'm sure it means, you start strong and then it just kind of dies. And 44% of podcasts have less than 3 episodes. Oh, and one more. Only 156,000 of the 720,000 podcasts with more than 10 episodes release a weekly episode.
It's a lot of
release
work,
a
man.
weekly
It's
episode.
a lot of work, yeah.
Yeah, but this is some stuff to be proud of because it's
Yeah,
episode 6 and we friggin' made it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So without further ado, why don't you bring us in, brother?
Well, I just kind of want to apologize about the other night, bro. That performance was ugly.
Oh my
COD
gosh.
Zombies. I know you're. Yeah. I mean,
Gil, I'm gonna be real with you, dude. You're not very good.
I don't think I'm that bad.
No, you're not that bad, but
I mean, I spent a lot of time on the concrete, bro. I was
Listen.
putting the ass in asphalt. And you were like,
kid was sitting down.
you had to traverse the map a couple times to bail me out.
That's all right, dude. I'm a Black Ops ballerina. You already know
By the
that.
3rd time, you were like, fuck.
It's like, you know what? Let's just end the game.
Call me Jay Sean, bro. With the amount of times I was down. OGs will get that reference.
Dude, crazy. I actually looked up the definition of the word zombie and the etymology of it because I was like, man, we're going to talk about zombies for a whole episode. We may as well know what the hell we're talking about.
Define it.
So here's the definition, and this is from the National Library of Medicine website. The English word zombie, and then in parentheses it says Haitian French zombie, Z-O-M-B-I, and Haitian Creole zombie, Z-O-N-B-I, was first recorded in 1819. It represents an undead person who was created through the reanimation of a corpse, usually through magic or witchcraft. These individuals were often depicted as automations without speech. Automatons? I don't know. I might be pronouncing that word wrong. And then the etymology of the word. The term zombie itself is believed to have originated from the West African word nzambi. I don't know if I'm butchering the pronunciation of that, but it's N-Z-A-M-B-I, which means God or spirit of a dead person. And it was brought to the Americas through the slave trade and eventually became associated with the reanimated dead.
Interesting. Didn't know that.
So it's fascinating that culture and pop culture has sort of redefined the word because spirit of a dead person isn't inherently something that wants to eat your brain, I'm assuming. But
Some
yeah.
cultures celebrate the
absolutely, man.
dead
Absolutely.
spirits.
And yeah, it's a term that goes back a while, which I thought was fascinating, but obviously it's turned into a completely different thing today,
Right.
so to speak.
Yeah, it's huge.
So, the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic, dude. I mean, I think a lot of people would be like, yeah, this is what I do. But
Yeah.
settle down.
Listen.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, how would it? I think there's a lot of ways it could break out,
Yeah. I mean, there's the ones we see in movies, like
like a virus.
a virus. I've also seen sometimes that it comes from an extraterrestrial source. Like an asteroid will hit the Earth and it's
Okay.
carrying some,
Yeah,
virus
yeah,
that we don't have any
Right.
immunity for. And
Right. Imagine if aliens just controlled our minds somehow. They're
Yeah.
like, look at these guys.
what if the virus is the alien?
Whoa.
Crazy, bro.
Brain infection.
Yeah.
Fungi. See that in
Mhm,
cordyceps,
mhm.
like ants. They take over ants.
Yeah.
What if that mutated? I mean, it's hypothetically
I don't know, man.
possible.
Freaking could. But what's to say that if it did take over humans, that it would be violent? Or maybe it's the concept of like a species to survive wants to spread and repopulate, and so that's that would manifest itself in a violent nature of eating your brains.
Right. What if it was like a genetic engineering thing, like a bioweapon?
Ooh, like something that went wrong.
Yeah, like a corporation or something was like, like that. It could be something that went wrong. Maybe it was originally used to maybe treat an illness or
Right.
something, and then it has unintended side effects, and then bang, zombies.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a factor.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting. Like how does it spread? Right, biting. That's kind of the classic one. But also, if it's an airborne virus,
That'd be
you're kind of
horrifying.
Yeah, I mean you're kind of screwed if it's airborne.
Yeah.
Right, because in that event, you just absolutely cannot get near them
Right.
because they're just spreading it all over the place.
Yeah. I mean, I like the idea of it being a contact thing, like a bite.
Yeah. So I think it's worth mentioning in this episode, we're basically going to lay out a scenario, right? The zombie apocalypse is happening, but we have to kind of set some boundaries and define what it's going to look like for us.
Yeah.
And we're not going to build it in a way that's going to be the easiest to survive, but what we think maybe would be the most likely to happen.
Yeah.
Is that kind of how we're going about this?
Yeah.
Cool. So, I mean, going off that, if it did happen, right, whether it was through a virus or some extraterrestrial source or whatever, bioweapon, what kind of zombies are we looking at here? Because, like, in movies, you have all kinds of, you have, like, the World War Z where they're, like, they can sprint at 100,000 miles an hour.
They're all Usain Bolt and like
Right.
LeBron James athletic. Like I Am Legend, those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys are moving, dude.
Yeah. But then if you think about stuff like, even parts of The Walking Dead or like The Last of Us.
Right.
It's
like the kind of the stumblers. Like
yeah. And I had a thought about this. I think it would depend on the condition or the shape that the person was in.
That's interesting.
Right? Like, I would be curious to see if, say, someone who was paralyzed and couldn't walk, if the virus took over their body, would they be able to suddenly walk? Or would they be a paralyzed zombie? You know what I mean?
I mean, your ability to walk, I think there's a lot involved. Your brain is certainly involved. Who knows? The virus might snap those pathways back together, and then all of a
Right.
sudden they're jumping out of wheelchairs.
That would
And
be
just, like,
crazy.
that'd be nuts.
It's a miracle. Yeah, no, that would be insane. But do you think, like, if someone was a really athletic person before they were infected, do you think that they would be one of those really fast zombies?
I think they'd be moving faster.
Yeah.
But I think the idea with a zombie and with something that's attacking your brain and stuff and making you this, I mean, it could be like a rabid, aggressive thing, but like
Right.
how much brain control do you really have when
Yeah.
when there's something eating at your brain? Like,
yeah, that's the question. Well, I think in our case, it kind of seems like our common ground is there would be multiple kinds.
I think there'd be some variation for sure.
Yeah, you'd have your, the slow and almost immobile ones, and then you'd have the ones that could sprint really fast. And
Yeah.
yeah,
I'll tell you what, I'd rather go up against the slow guys.
yeah,
I mean, I think if they were like the I Am Legend World War Z zombies, I don't know, man. I might just put a bullet in my head.
Yeah,
like how long? Also, can they operate all 24/7?
well, that's the thing
Do
I was
these
going to
fuckers
mention.
sleep?
Like, what about fatigue? Like, a human, you have intense fatigue
to
after.
rest. Yeah.
Yeah, but if a zombie could it, run for 5 hours straight looking for a human to eat without being tired?
I think that's the idea. Every time
Yeah.
I've seen zombies in pop culture, they're just relentless. They might not come at you at 100 miles per hour, but they're always coming.
Yeah,
It's like that
dude.
It Follows
Oh
crap.
gosh, I was just gonna mention that movie. That movie
Yeah.
terrifies me.
Yeah, I didn't see it, but I heard about it.
Yeah, you're not gonna want to see that. But yeah, man, so that's like kind of our definition of zombie. But I like what you said before, like if this actually happened, because we should talk about this before we get into our hypothetical. Like, could we really survive this? You know what I mean? Like, I have a couple questions about this. Could we really survive it? Do you think, like the military would be able to handle it? In all these movies that everything gets overrun or whatever, but like, how realistic is that?
Yeah.
Would they be able to quarantine it? Would they be able to figure it out?
They would try.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of something that's so infectious, though, it snowballs really fast. That's like my idea of it. When I think about the apocalypse, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about the zombie apocalypse.
Sure. So
this is the end of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I think governments, it's anarchy. Everything's breaking down. There's no military and stuff. I mean, these guys, one zombie gets into the military, bang, boom, he eats one.
Yeah.
All of a sudden,
like,
it's a zombie military.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Hey, zombie military. That's freaking crazy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you think you would do?
You know what? That's a great question. I think I'd be okay. And this
Yeah?
isn't coming from a fucking cocky place.
Sure.
I just think I'm somebody that would stay relatively calm. I think a lot of people would panic. And I think the people that panic are the first ones to go.
Mm-hmm.
People that run out to the store. I gotta get some water. I gotta get
toilet paper. It's so funny, man. I go through my life and sometimes I'll see people and I'll lean to whoever I'm with and I'm just going, I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but if the zombie apocalypse happened, that person's gonna be one of the first people to go.
Yeah, you see
And it's
him.
like
You can
it's like the
pick him out
dude
right on the street.
Yeah, it's like the dude talking on his cell phone while he's ordering at the coffee shop or something.
I hope he goes first.
That guy's gonna be the first. Yeah, screw that guy. Tip your bartender.
Yeah, let's before I get into that, because that's a great question about, how do you think you would do?
Yeah.
When it does happen, where are you and where do you want to be?
Sure. That's tough, man.
I mean, say it happened, we're here, we're home.
yeah.
So
In the A.
we're in Atlanta. We're in the city.
Yeah. The city is like, you don't want to be in the city.
Right.
100%. What's up? You good?
I'm good, yeah.
Did you see something?
I was looking, I forgot to set the timer.
Oh, okay.
We got a busted up cheeky ass camera, so we got to reset it every 30 minutes.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm good. We'd be in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I would do right away, bro. I would bunker up the crib.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go rushing anywhere.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on it?
I think that's
Are you getting in
smart.
your car and peeling out?
No,
I'm not.
well, where are you going to go?
Exactly,
Like,
bro.
it's...
You're gonna get eaten on the highway.
The traffic in Atlanta is bad enough.
Exactly.
Imagine if it was the zombie apocalypse.
It was a
would be-
mass exodus.
Yeah, it'd be gridlock everywhere you went. But the key, I think, because you have to imagine, like, we got to think about the timeline here, right? So, like, the first few hours, it's going to be panic. It's going to be people rushing to the store.
People rushing to the store.
And it's going to be, people are just going to be confused.
right.
And, if COVID taught us anything, there's going to be a good chunk of the population that doesn't even believe it's happening.
Right.
It's a hoax or whatever. But I think hunkering down where we are now, like boarding up the windows and just, I think that's the best move, honestly. Like, we're not sitting on a stockpile on nukes here, but,
I think you got to initially get through the first 3 days,
yeah.
and then you start making moves.
Yeah.
I think.
And you have to be, as soon as it happens, you immediately have to put yourself in the mindset of, I need to be smarter
Yep.
than everyone else out there,
right,
because
right.
all you have to do is survive the first few days. And then I feel like you'll maybe have a little bit of room to think.
Right.
I mean, unless you're in a city and it just gets worse, like it's becoming overrun or whatever. I don't really know, but I do think bunkering up the house is a good move. Because, like, I'm almost thinking, like, what's a better target than a pristine looking house,
Right.
right? Like, how could you camouflage the house to hide it in plain sight?
That's a
That
good
not
thought.
only other humans, or not only zombies wouldn't, I mean, I don't know how you could defer them, but other humans are looking at that house, man, I must already have been pillaged.
Right.
I mean, you got to like almost think like your enemy in this
yeah,
sense. Like,
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I think
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I mean, I think a lot of people would be trying to get to those remote locations.
Yeah.
Right off the bat. So I think it'd be smart to bunker down for a few days. Like I said, I'd try to remain as calm as I possibly could. I would think. Spend
Yeah.
a couple days thinking. I'd
make a
assemble my,
plan.
I'd want to be with you, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing. I mean, and we'll get into this later, but like forming your coalition,
It's a very important call.
it has to be small.
Yeah, I
At
agree.
first, at least, it
I
has to
agree.
be small.
There can't be too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah, and also like, you just can't be with people that are going to slow you down.
Right.
You know. But what's interesting, like going back to timeline, I think first few hours would be fucking nuts, but the first few days, hopefully, like people probably know what's happening at that point. I'm talking like a week, 2 weeks. This is probably where you're gonna see the formation of like factions
Yep.
and gangs, and like maybe shelters are gonna be like trying to take people in or whatever. I think at this point there's still gonna be a pretty large human presence, and martial law would probably be in full effect.
Mm-hmm.
Like anybody seen outside of their home is being shot on sight, type of thing.
Right.
Like,
Right.
Obviously until the military or whatever enforcement would be behind that would taken over. But this to me would be such a weird point, because it's like, it's not the beginning, right? You don't have this excuse of like, I'm just going to stay in place, right? At this point, you have to make a plan. You have to execute a plan.
Right.
So like, what are you doing?
I think there's a lot of people out there that are praying for this to happen. I think some people want to watch the world burn.
Sure.
So like these gangs and factions that you said, the people that are running around with their assault rifles, and
Yeah.
I think people would just go nuts. A lot
Yeah.
of people. And then there would be the other people that would be the panic people that would be rushing to the stores. They'd get whacked. Zombies are attracted to noise, bro.
Right.
If you make a lot of noise, you're gonna attract the zombies. So be fucking quiet.
Yeah.
Okay, that you all the movies you watch and the TV shows, it's the cats that are quiet that survive. Like
Right.
like you got to lay low, I think. And I like your point of our crew is small.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because you can't have too many people in your crew, dude. One thing for resources are going to be tight,
Yeah.
but and I think you run water while it's still running.
Mm-hmm.
You save
fill up as much as you can.
yeah, and then you could go a while without food, but I think you have to have a plan, and I think after that initial period, like you have to make some kind of a move.
Yeah.
Ideally, a remote location, but like let's be honest, what would we have access to?
Right.
How are we getting around?
We would need to get out of town,
right.
and getting out of a major metropolitan area would be tough, man. Because the reality is, if highways are blocked, if streets are blocked, you're either, if you can't drive through front yards all the way out of the city, like you're on foot, and
Right.
that leaves you the most
Vulnerable.
exposed.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
And also a car is loud.
Right.
A car might attract attention as well, not
Right.
only to zombies, but also to other people. What's to stop someone camping on their roof with an assault rifle to just open fire on your car and just take the resources
Absolutely.
you have inside? It's
Yeah.
almost like, see, this is the tricky thing, man, because I mean, we've seen it before in history, like in times of crisis, and like humans are just as dangerous here.
Yeah.
You
When
know?
that survival instinct kicks in, man, like what's going to stop you from killing your neighbor?
Yeah, exactly, man. If it's between you and them, it seriously comes down to this like primal thing.
Yeah. You ever read The Road by Cormac McCarthy?
No.
No. I mean, it's an apocalyptic book, but it's about a father and a son, and they run into cannibals. they
Yeah.
run into, and it's just
Yeah. Like, what are you willing to do, man? You know?
it's a moral question of like, how far are you willing to go to live?
Yeah. And morality is definitely something we should touch on because, I mean, you don't really you can't afford to be an incredible person anymore.
No. And I think, we could talk about what would you do if you ran into a child by itself? Like, what would you do if
Right.
your friend got bit? Like, we don't have
Yeah.
to answer that right this second, but it's a factor.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
You
I don't
know?
even, it's weird to think about that stuff, man, because, obviously we would act differently if it weren't the zombie apocalypse, but the way I look at it, man, is it's like taking on new people has to be, it would have to be for the benefit of the survival.
Is there a
You
pro
know?
and a con though? Maybe you have another set of another guy that can carry a weapon, but like
Right.
that's another mouth to feed.
Yeah. But
know.
also someone to have your back when you're, clearing a house. But like,
You gotta really trust the fucker too.
yeah, and how do you maintain your humanity through all of this, right? So say you do stumble upon a child or a dog or something, it's like, both of those are mouths to feed, and neither of those, nor the child or the dog could really probably contribute that much to the crew. But for the sake of humanity, do you save them? If you have the means to, do you save them?
You asking me?
Sure. Yeah.
Man, the dog? No,
Yeah.
I don't think. That's just a liability. Barking,
Yeah.
The child, man. Ooh,
That's tough.
it's so tough. Dude, I honestly think, and like I might catch some hate for this, but if I'm actually in that situation and I'm telling the absolute truth right now,
Yeah.
I'm only taking care of myself.
Yeah.
And whoever I'm with, maybe it's you.
Yeah.
I'd like to only have 4 in the crew.
Yeah.
And like we take care of no one but ourselves. That's it.
Yeah, man, I'm honestly kind of with you. For me, it would kind of depend on the situation. It's like, if we're in a heated area, like a city, I'm not stopping for anyone.
No,
It's
no.
like, we
No,
gotta
if
get
a
out of
child
here.
rolled up that was healthy to our house in the woods that's bunkered up, we got supplies. Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
If we're on the move though, man, I don't know.
Yeah, it's tricky.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm really not stopping for anyone or anything. Yeah, well, at least, especially if you're in a city, man, like your top priority is just to get the fuck out of there.
Right.
I think, and
I don't want to be in any cities.
yeah, I mean, hopefully, like the next point I had was a year in. Hopefully at that point you're not in a city,
Right.
but at that point, do you have solidified coalitions? Most of the human to zombie transformation has already happened at a year, especially if it spreads as fast as we're talking about.
And then everyone else everyone else you're dealing with from a human being's perspective, uninfected, is probably a weapon.
Right. Well, that's right. As the longer you go on, the better the people you encounter were at surviving.
Right. Do you think at that point people would be less hostile to other people?
I
I would
would-
think after the population is weighted and there's not a ton of people left,
Yeah.
people would be more willing to barter and trade. And
Yeah,
help
I
each
would
other
think
out.
so. If zombies were, well, at this point, zombies are more of a threat because there's more of them.
Right.
But also, hopefully, you're further away from where most of them are. And you got to imagine, like, there's probably small towns where the humans with guns win,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where it gets there and they fucking win.
Mm-hmm.
And so those places, unless new zombies wander in, like those places become safe havens. And so, I do think that at this point, humans are still more dangerous because, again, the survival thing is kicking in and you're like, you come across someone, you have no idea if they're going to want to kill you. Like if you have supplies, then there's a target on your back.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? Because most people don't know how to farm, don't know how to like get the stuff that we use to live for the
Here's the
most
thing.
part.
Yeah, most people can make a fire though.
Right.
So I think a lot of people will be cannibals.
Yeah.
So
probably.
like that's another target on your back too.
Yeah. Talk about the morality aspect of it. It's like, if that's what you had to do to survive.
I think people would have no problem
Yeah.
eating other people.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah. I mean, if that's
I mean,
like,
like monkeys, and we'll eat monkeys.
yeah. I mean, if it's between like starving to death and, you know, eating some calf. I'm not saying I'm a friggin' cannibal, everybody, so relax.
Bicep or quadricep?
But I don't know. I feel like just, you know, people would just be willing to do what it takes to survive, man.
Yeah.
And it makes me think about just like, what kind of effects would this have on you, like mentally, physically, and emotionally, man? I think we should dig into this because everyone wants to act like some strong, tough guy when this happens. But even if you do stay calm, just the palpable anxieties that would be plaguing your life at that point would be so insanely potent that you just can't ignore them. And we no longer really have access to mental health counseling or
absolutely
medicine
not.
or whatever.
Absolutely
So
not. Absolutely not.
yeah,
I think the loneliness would be crippling.
oh my gosh,
I think the pain of losing all your loved ones would be just brutal.
yeah,
And like knowing that they went in such a brutal way
yeah.
is just heartbreaking.
Nobody's passing peacefully during the zombie
Right.
apocalypse.
Not knowing probably how they went, that'd be hard. I think
That would be tough for sure. Like the, you know, just the depression, the anxiety,
Right.
like
I think to go back a little bit, I think one of the first things I would do within that first few couple of days is make contact with the people, my family and friends up north,
yeah,
and maybe say goodbye.
yeah.
I don't know what's gonna happen. I
Yeah,
don't know if
like,
I'll
I'm
see
gonna
you
try to
again.
come for you, just try
Yeah.
to survive. But if this is the last time I talk to you,
Right.
love you.
You know.
yeah, that's insane, dude.
You know, I think it's world shattering, the idea of like everything you've ever known is now not the way it is.
Yeah,
Life, your dreams, your aspirations, like
gone.
it's all about survival.
Right.
Very primal it becomes. And like we used to kind of live this way when we were, you know, Neanderthals. So would there be a satisfaction in that, do you think?
I mean, I do think there's a lot of behavior that we exhibit that still is rooted in, you know, our primal ancestors and, you know, instincts and stuff like that. I don't know if it would necessarily like set off your dopamine,
Right.
but I do think you would find some people who are kind of a natural at it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? People who are just, I mean, you see that today, like people who are just good at surviving.
Right.
People who are very street smart. They have very sharp, just world skills.
Right.
You know, those are going to be the people that last.
It wouldn't be about intelligence. It
No.
would be more about instinct.
Yeah. And also being clever.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, for me, this idea of camouflage just keeps coming back into my brain. Like, how do you just become undetectable by both humans and zombies, dude? It's like learning how to move in silence, but still get what you need and be able to protect yourself. It would be a crazy skill.
Yeah. It would be a hunter-gatherer, you know, lifestyle, I think. If you
Yeah.
could. I mean, I think long term, you want to get somewhere remote.
100%.
Whether that's a forest up in Canada or, you know, whatever, like you wouldn't have access to a lot. You would have to probably leg it for a lot of it.
Yeah. Which leaves you vulnerable to the physical effects, right? I'm talking malnutrition,
Right.
medicine,
The elements. Yeah.
like not only access to medicine, but like the knowledge.
Right.
You know, I go to the doctor, I say, this hurts, and they prescribe me this. It's like, I don't know. I wouldn't, even if I went into a fully stocked pharmacy, I would not know what to grab.
No.
And also, just physical injury. You fall and break your leg.
Right.
What are you going to do? It's like,
you can't Google it either. All the
Right.
all the phone, like
everything's
cooked.
gone. Everything's
Yeah.
down. Yeah. And just this idea of like, well, living without health insurance now. You know what I mean? It's like, unless you find someone that knows how to heal or you have some basic knowledge of first aid, it's like, you know,
Yeah. Maybe you find somebody.
that's someone you want in your coalition.
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. First aid
fucking
trained.
doctor.
Yeah. First aid kits would be good to find too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure. I had an interesting point here in effects kind of in like the emotional side of things. This might sound corny, but like, what does love look like in the age of zombies? Like, is it the intentions behind those feelings, or maybe like the instincts behind those feelings might change?
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean?
You
Like,
don't got your pick of the litter anymore.
right. Is it like, it's just becomes like survival
It's almost a
Love it.
teammate mentality.
and like trauma bonding.
trauma bonding.
You know
yeah.
what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I just think, I don't really know the answer fully to that question, but I do think it's an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah, yeah. The Last of Us, episode 3, that story of the two guys.
Yeah.
That was a beautiful episode.
Oh my
of
gosh.
television.
It's a fucking heartbreaker, man.
Yeah, I mean that's the kind of thing. Like you never know who you're gonna bond with in that situation.
Right.
And you might need each other, and like you just have no idea. Like
Think
the
about-
desperation. Like,
Yeah. And think about our differences that would melt away in
Oh,
this
yeah.
situation. Like things people disagree on. And I'm not talking about, fundamental character flaw stuff. I'm talking about, we hate this, like you like this sports team, I like this sports team. That would literally not even cross your mind
right.
in this.
Right. Right.
And just you're bonding. That's like the weird part. It's like, do you bond with other humans because you are survivors, but also it's like they're kind of a threat,
yeah.
but
yeah.
to what end?
You just, man, I think you just have to build a trust with your crew, and like there's this saying, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb.
Whoa.
Talking about the bond of brotherhood or whatever between friends or service members or whatever, that guy that's going to war with you.
It's thicker than a
Guy
family
or girl,
bond.
yeah, it can be greater than a family bond. And,
Yeah.
and
Wow. That's crazy.
it's just, I think you would love the people that you really hold close. You'd love them deeper because you depend on each other,
right.
and you need support.
Yeah.
in this time,
Right. In a perfect world, it's just the humans versus the zombies,
no,
right? But I just don't think that would be the case.
No, I think
it
it
would be
would be-
humans versus humans
Yeah.
versus zombies.
right,
And yeah, you just got the living and the dead to worry about, which is stressful, man.
and it's like you might want to help people, but you can't. Can I trust this person over there not to kill me?
Right.
I
You
don't
help
know.
them, you
And they're
batch up
thinking
their
the
wound or
same
whatever, and then, they just stab you or whatever.
Yeah, the
Like,
fear would be so intense.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I
it'd
mean,
be
just
so hard.
talk about a mental effect, man. Just constantly being in survival mode.
You'd live a lot less. Your lifespan would.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you would just be constantly stressed all
I
the
think
time.
everyone would be an insomniac. How do you sleep knowing there's zombies on the move?
Dude, I can't even
coming to get me.
sleep now. Yeah, I mean, you just talk about trust issues, and then you have this, the big question of what's the point?
Yeah, I mean,
Like, why
I think
try to survive?
I think because I think it's just hardwired in us.
Right.
It's our will to live is just, and like living in society today in the 21st century, like we don't really need to tap into that like as much because it's just life's pretty. It's the best it's ever been.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's the easiest it's ever been, and like people still, people have mental health issues and stuff.
Yeah.
Probably because they're not taking care of themselves and doing the things that support your mental health. And I've been guilty of this before.
I mean,
We all
You're
have.
talking to two people that still suffer from it.
Right.
It's, it's an uphill battle constantly.
But I just think that instinct and that will to live is powerful, man.
Yeah.
And like
I mean,
I don't want to just keel over. I'm gonna do what I gotta do. Because there's something. I think no matter what, life is good, and there's something to live for. You can find something to live for,
Yeah.
whether it's the person next to you or whatever.
Like, what's the silver lining here? The triumph of survival.
Survival.
That's like a huge. And what's interesting is when you say, why survive, your best answer is just because that's what we do.
it's biology, man.
Yeah, that's like I don't know, but
Yeah.
that's what my instincts are telling me to do.
Yeah.
It's it's so interesting when you break it down to this binary thing. It's incredibly difficult to understand.
Yeah.
It's like,
I think
I
the
don't know.
concept of hope too, the hope that
Huge.
someday we can rebuild
repopulate.
and repopulate and go back to what we had before this happened. And, you know, I think that's a thing.
It's like it would take a long time to get there. But
So I think, I think that would drive a lot of people to really battle, and, you know, people would start scheming and stuff. So I think, you know, you get to that remote location, you have your safe space, your safe zone, what I imagine remember like a state on Call of Duty, we were talking about that, Matt.
Dude,
You know, you got a crib in the woods, like that's on the water, maybe like on like a lake or whatever,
near some sort of
Some
fresh
body
water
of water.
source.
Yeah, and like, you know, you have a small crew who's all dialed in. You got your watch guy at night, you know, maybe a couple watch cats. You sleep in shifts or something.
Absolutely.
You got booby traps.
Mm-hmm.
You got trip wires.
Yeah.
Maybe you got a barbed wire fence or some kind of barricade around the crib. I'm thinking moat. Let's get the shovels out every day, boys. We're digging a moat.
Yeah.
And
Seriously,
so the
though.
zombies, if they come, are humans. You
Yeah.
trap them, you know. You know, maybe a horde of zombies dumps into the moat and you just light them all on fire.
Right.
So
You
I
put
don't know.
like traps in there, maybe dynamite or something. That you
Yeah,
can just
that-
all at
that-
once, just
I don't know. That creates a lot of noise. You
That's
don't want to
true.
attract them.
fill it. I mean, realistically, you'd probably fill it with water if it's a moat.
That's a good idea.
But can zombies swim?
I don't
I
know.
don't think so.
I don't think
right?
so. I don't think so.
This
You,
is
you need to have an escape route too. Say you get
Yeah.
overrun.
so here's
A boat would be sick. Jump on the boat.
right, exactly, and I think that it's got to be somewhere remote. It needs to not be too big, because even
Agreed.
if someone's passing by, you need to be able to camouflage your hideout into the natural environment.
Agreed.
Right? It can't be a fucking big yellow house
Right.
in the
right.
middle of nowhere. And I'm thinking multiple exits, but exits that only the people that live there know about, like underground exits.
Yeah.
Because if the house gets overrun, you're not walking out the extra back door because it's
Right.
probably surrounded. So
Right.
like that, and like I'm thinking maybe within 50 miles is some sort of small town or city, because unless you can completely survive off the land, like you would probably want to make
You'd have to go and
runs
trade and
into-
make barter trips to get supplies. Yeah.
or just raid, whatever small shops are there, or whatever, if they
Right.
haven't already been run over.
right.
But this is I like this topic. It's like what's kind of our ideal scenario, right?
Well, because like, are you a migrator or are you a settler? And I think there's pros and cons to
Yeah.
each. I think it's more dangerous to be on the move constantly.
Absolutely.
It's also more risky. You can't really carry as much. You got to
Right.
rely on, if you settle down and you build those systems, you get water running, maybe you could live off the land a little bit. You could learn to farm some crops,
Yeah.
but you also risk losing it all if it does get overrun.
Right. All
So,
at once, and then you have
right.
nothing.
Right.
And at that point, do you have the nomadic survival instincts? So you're like, okay, our house got overrun, but we got to go somewhere else, and you're not going to die on the way there because you don't know how to survive
Right.
in that new nomadic lifestyle. And like you said, there's pros and cons to both, but I'm probably erring on the side of the hideout
Me too. I think.
because you got to learn how to hunt,
Yeah.
right? If there's like natural wildlife in the area that, say this disease only affects humans, right? So if there's still deer and, different animals in the area, I mean, you can still hunt,
Yeah.
figure that out. But the benefit of moving is like,
You'd have access to more stuff.
right.
You
yeah.
can raid stuff.
Because
you
what
know.
happens if you're stationary and you keep going into the town and all of a sudden, and then it's gone?
Yeah, or like you get followed back,
Right.
maybe.
Yeah.
Like,
I hate that.
yeah,
I want to talk about, this kind of goes back to our top threes episode a little bit, but let's continue describing our ideal scenario.
Okay.
And so what are your top 3 weapons? And this is assuming you have access to anything.
Right.
What are you going for?
All right, I think mine are going to differ from yours because I thought about this a little bit.
Okay.
I love fantasizing about these apocalyptic scenarios, but I mean, so I got to break it down into two classes of how I'm living. If I'm on the move and I'm a migrator, kind of, those weapons are going to differ.
Sure.
You know, I might have like I can have access to everything. I got like a silenced SMG, maybe, and then I got like a big ass knife, sharp as a motherfucker, and maybe a baseball bat or something, a big blunt object that I could easily swing around and just smash zombie skulls with.
Yeah.
That's if I'm on the move. If I'm more of a settler, man, I'd probably have like a katana or something, sharp as a motherfucker.
Hey, Dan.
Maybe a light machine gun,
Okay.
just in the window. So if all of a sudden the horde has gotten through, I can just light them all up. A turret would be sick, but something like that. Stationary. You can't really run around with that kind of gun.
It's just big.
It's big,
clunky.
yeah, and like a flamethrower maybe.
Mm.
You know, we have like gas set up in the trees. And then I just fucking
Oh my god! And it just torches.
all of them. But here's the thing about using like guns, man, is it's incredibly risky. I'm operating from the idea that these zombies are very keen, sensory wise. Like that's how they hunt. Like they can hear. And that attracts the whole horde. So if you're ripping a light machine gun, you don't want to rip the light. If there's 5 zombies coming in and you shoot the gun, I will never forgive you for that.
Well, because there's going to be 500 more.
Exactly.
following it.
That might be a plot in an episode of whatever. Like, oh, Riz open fired on 3 zombies that we could have just shanked with a few knives. Like, now there's gonna be 1,000 of them here.
Right.
So,
But you run the risk of getting close to it.
huh?
If you're using a blade, you have to get
true.
close.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so it's also like, you know, this sounds goofy, but like a big ass slingshot would honestly be like,
A crossbow or something.
yeah, a bow is a
bow would
great
be a
weapon
great
because
weapon.
it's silent.
Yeah, it'd be a great weapon.
Yeah.
Give me yours.
Assume that all of these are suppressed.
Yeah, yeah. Still, I mean, yeah.
All 3 of mine, I'll say my 3 and then go into some other options because I didn't really think about the sound thing. God, I'm already a bad survivor.
I mean, if sound's not a factor, I got all kinds of bombs and stuff. But that's just very.
But
risky.
I was looking for stuff that I can be mobile with, but it's also, I know it's going to put them down.
Functional.
Yeah. Like I'm probably going to go right off the bat with an AK.
Okay.
It's a high caliber rifle, but it's somewhat portable. And, yeah, that's probably my number 1. My number 2, this is assuming I am like Mr. Silent. Like I'm probably going with like a very high caliber long range rifle.
I like having a long range rifle,
Right.
especially for the human beings.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I would probably want to carry a shotgun too.
Ooh,
Because if you get in close quarters, and I mean, like, let's go back to fatigue. Like, you're swinging a baseball bat at 5 zombies, and
Yeah.
they're fighting back because they don't feel fucking pain.
you have to have a melee weapon. I think. This is where I
100%.
disagree. If you are gonna have
No,
3 guns.
100%. I
Yeah.
agree, and I think a baseball bat is a good option. Either that or some kind of sword.
Here's the thing about the sword thing, which makes it kind of risky. If it's not unbelievably sharp, and say you get it stuck, say you get it stuck in a zombie, then a zombie grabs your arm and you're trying to pull it out.
Yeah, think
you know
about how
what I mean?
fast that could happen. You
Yeah.
swing, it's stuck, you get cut.
I
and
mean,
you're
it's
done.
useless in a mob. If you're getting
Right.
mobbed, the best thing you can do is turn around and run.
Right. Your best weapon is your fucking legs.
Yeah, 100%. So I think you need a melee weapon, but you got to be smart about how you use it.
Yeah. I honestly, after talking about this, I think I'm going with bow and arrow
I love the
as
bow.
my top weapon.
I love the bow.
It doesn't
Yeah.
it's not something you could like fire really fast, but it's silent and you can move with it. It's, you know, there's a reason the
yeah.
bow and arrow, it's also like, it's just been around forever.
Right.
You know what I
right,
mean?
right.
It's-
The silent factor is huge.
Yeah.
Like as cool as a sniper would be to have, bang. you know, and it creates a ton of noise.
Yeah.
You know, when that shot goes off. you
Yeah.
know, for
I mean, even
miles.
suppressed, it's a
Yeah,
loud
it's still
hiss.
loud
It's
as
like-
hell.
So, yeah, I like bow and arrow. That's kind of maybe if I had to pick one, I'm going bow and arrow, and I'm staying away from tight areas.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
yeah, like bow and arrow and a suppressed handgun. Maybe.
That's a good combo.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
hunt with it too.
You want to be mobile, dude.
That's a good migrator combo right there.
yeah,
Maybe you got it. Maybe you got maybe the handgun can go automatic
sure.
or something.
Yeah.
Really
What's your best mode of transportation or modes? You know, if you're at a hideout in a house in the woods, maybe you have multiple modes of transportation.
Ideally, the hideout's on some water where you can just escape a horde of them. If you do get overrun,
Right.
so you could jump in like a boat or on a jet ski. The jet ski can't really carry the supplies, so if you had like a
Yeah.
small boat,
Well, here's a question: if the house was on the water and you got away on a boat, would you try to retake the house slowly?
I think eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like the zombies are looking for you. They survive on eating human flesh, right, and brains. Like that's the idea. So they would eventually leave. But I feel like some of these zombies are more intelligent than we give them credit for.
Sure.
Like they might leave a few hidden in the house. They might, they might lay a couple soldiers behind and be like,
Yeah.
stay here, hide in the fireplace for when they get back.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you lost the house, though, that is devastating.
Yeah. It's like, because your options are like retake the house
Right.
or become nomadic.
Yeah.
With
And then you
no
gotta
supplies.
reset everything up. Like,
Yeah.
all the traps, everything. Like,
Yeah. A boat is a good answer though. If your house is on the water.
yeah. I just imagine at this point, like a lot of the roads and like, especially the highways and stuff are just gridlocked.
Yeah.
So like you can't and like going through those small towns by car is dangerous, man.
Yeah.
You might just get picked off.
Right.
So it's just so tough, bro.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
it
don't know.
is. I thought about an ATV as, it's not great for noise or for protection from other humans, but they're quick and they're small, and like I feel like mobility is a theme here. Being able to
I don't know.
move
That's
quickly.
scary. That's scary. It's you're just like you're just exposed on
right.
it. Almost like one of those like Rangers, the little Rangers.
Yeah.
If you had it like
Some bulletproof
closed
glass
in, yeah, that'd
on it or
be
something.
tight.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's tough.
I would probably want to have, this is going to sound ridiculous, but I would probably want to have an SUV for necessary runs only. Some
Right.
sort of vehicle that's good off road.
Some kind of armored vehicle.
Yeah, ideally, but
Dude, you know what I just thought of when I was crapping on your ATV comment? It'd actually be, if you like, say you crash it or whatever, you're flying through the woods or something, being able to jump off it and just take off
right. That's
would be
what
an
I'm
asset.
saying.
Yeah, now I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if you're enclosed and say that the zombies are pinned up against it, now what?
Yeah.
Now there's a horde around the car
What are you gonna
breaking
do?
through the glass. Nothing
Yeah, you're
really.
fucked.
Cooked. I'm
Yeah.
I'm claustrophobic a little bit too. That would scare
Yeah.
me. Scare the absolute piss out of me. So,
What about if you were in a kind of a more populated area? Not populated, but if you were maybe in like a city, having a bicycle.
bicycle.
I know it sounds ridiculous, but if you just had to do like a quick run silently, what?
Yeah, it's pretty quiet.
Name me a
I
better
guess.
option. You know what I
I'm
mean?
Thinking, man.
Aside from being on foot,
A Rolls Royce they're pretty quiet.
a
Obviously.
Tesla.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. They're pretty quiet, yeah. And like you can get around faster. If people have guns though, you're just cooked.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I might only it's the idea of like, do I only go out and travel around at night? But I feel like that's when a lot of the crazies are out.
Yeah, and also, I mean, visibility works to protect you, but it also works against you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of a double-edged sword.
Right.
So that'd be tough. I don't know. Transportation is tough. Like honestly, on foot it's probably the best because you're incredibly agile, but
Right.
hopefully.
Facts.
But you know, I got some options there. What is in your go bag?
That I'm
the
always
house is,
carrying with
the
me.
house is getting overrun. You got to grab your bag and go. What's in that bag?
A knife, a first aid kit,
Mm-hmm.
some kind of water bottles, like something that I could hold water in. Obviously, canteen of some kind.
Isn't it so inconvenient that we like have to drink water?
Like you go a couple days and you're like gonna
You're
die.
cooked.
Yeah, you
That's
need
so
it.
inconvenient.
A gun, like, what do you really need?
Yeah, I had a med kit,
Yeah,
a small, maybe like first aid med kit, some meal rations.
yeah, of course.
I put some water, but I think also a life straw.
Yeah,
Something that you could literally dip down into a stream and it would just filter the water.
right. Yeah, that'd be nice to have.
Have a couple of
obviously.
those maybe. Some extra ammunition.
Yeah,
Maybe like a small handgun if need be. A knife. Maybe some rope.
yeah,
And maybe a couple fire starters.
yeah.
Because hopefully you know how to start a fire, but
yeah, we'd learn that. We would have that skill down.
yeah,
Just like the.
hopefully. Next episode, we're going to be starting a fire. To prove it.
Yeah, man. There'd be a lot of tough choices, bro, if you're put in this situation.
Yeah.
What if
ifs.
what if you're one of your loved ones, one of your crew? You've been rolling with them for years now.
Yeah.
5 years in together. They just took a bite. What's the move?
I mean, hopefully they have, I don't know what you'd call it, if you'd call it character or understanding to look at you and say, take me out. It's been a good run.
Right.
Or to take themselves out. I don't know.
What would you do if you got bit?
Probably control alt delete, man.
Yeah, of course, but like I think it would say it takes an hour until you go senile.
You know what I would probably do?
I would dap you up, give you a hug.
Yeah.
I love you,
would,
brother.
I'd say goodbye to all you guys.
And then I'd be like, I'm gonna walk out into the woods and I'm gonna shoot myself.
yeah. But what you should do, take a couple extra bullets, get far away,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe you take the bike or
Ooh,
something.
I like this. I like
Fire
Rambo.
off a couple rounds, get all the zombies away from the house.
You go Rambo mode, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you just save the last bullet, you know what I'm saying? But like, you don't, I feel like it'd be, if you can martyr yourself, if you can at least draw them away from
Yeah.
where your homies
For
are.
sure.
You know,
Yeah.
that's
I mean, if
probably how
I
I'd wanna go.
ideally like, you know, I'd throw my headphones on.
What's playing?
I'd play Easy Rider
Oh.
by Action Bronson.
Nice.
And as the guitar riff's going, I'd be driving the Harley into the sunset,
Oh my gosh.
right into the horde, right into the den
Yeah.
of the wolves' den. And I
Mhm.
would just go, just
Yep.
like peeling grenades, running at
Oh
them.
my gosh. You've got black streaks under your eyes. Headband.
Yeah, and then I'd take as many out as I could, I think.
Yeah. You definitely want to make it go out with a bang, so to speak.
Yeah.
That's the thing, man. I would do that, and I would do everything I could to avoid death by zombie, like getting bit or getting ripped apart.
Right.
That seems
Yeah, maybe
horrible.
we you take out the zombies in the area. Peace, brother.
Yeah.
And then you ride off.
Yep. Right off into the beautiful sunset.
Godspeed.
Eagles.
Imagine
soaring
if
over
it was just us two left or something. And now you're alone. That sucks.
you. That would be insane. At that point, you're really battling. Like, what's the point?
Yeah, I think you got to find other people.
Yeah.
You got to find another crew.
Yeah, and you'd be damn lucky to roll up on a crew that wouldn't just probably shoot you on sight.
Yeah.
So we are dealing with a lot of luck throughout the whole
Right.
whole
If you
timeline
made
of
it that
this.
far, bro. Yeah.
That would be crazy, man.
What if you were dealing with a loved one or one of your crew members who, say it's a girlfriend or something, she gets bit. She's freaking out.
This is incriminating.
Huh? I'll answer.
These are hypothetical answers.
I think you just gotta shoot her. Maybe you hug her and you just pull out the gun and just I
yeah,
don't know. You gotta go.
That's
Gotta
insane.
go. What are you gonna do? What am I gonna let you?
I don't know, man. Because that's the thing. It's like, if someone gets bit, what are the odds that they're gonna
Be okay.
voluntarily ride off into the
Right.
sunset?
What if it doesn't? What if it? The what ifs of. Oh, maybe they just. I'm good. I think I'm okay.
Yeah, no, you're not.
No, you're not.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is, the black bear. I don't know. I mean, it'd be tough.
Yeah.
But at the same way that when you were leaving the city, you passed the kid or the dog. It's like you'd have to do what you have to do for survival.
I think you
man.
have that conversation well in advance of
That is a
happening.
good
You say this is
point.
what we're gonna do. No
But
matter
you
what.
said, you said,
But
you said I could do this. That's tough. That's That's a really tough.
yeah.
I don't know. God, I mean, relationships and dynamics and like just the tension between people that would be going on. As much as you are bonded with these people,
There'd be a power struggle.
yeah, 100%.
Who's calling the shots? Someone usually rises up as leader.
Right.
And, sometimes, there'd be some mutinies probably,
Yeah. What qualifies a leader? Is it the person who has the group's survival in mind?
It's got to be. I think you got to, I mean, people are going to get behind you, you got to have a utilitarian mindset of like, we're going to do the greatest good for this crew here.
Right.
We're going to keep ourselves safe. And,
Maybe that's where you have the conversation. Like, if you get bit,
right.
that's it. Because, like, what if someone gets bit and they don't tell anybody until it's too late and they sabotage the whole thing, man?
Right.
I wouldn't want to do that. I don't like see why, if they're going to die anyway, I don't see why anyone would want to kill all the others too. Like,
You don't know what goes through the head of a. It's
true.
a denial. Maybe there's a denial. I
yeah,
don't know.
probably. I mean,
You know.
if you're,
Let's see.
when you're in fear for your life, your brain does weird things,
yeah,
man.
man.
Take it back to Lula Gorge.
I think part of me when this would happen and like you get deep into this is there'd be some peace almost. It's gonna sound weird to say,
How so?
but I'm gonna say a quote right now that I'm a fan of.
Okay.
And I don't know who said it, but I saw it. A kid I went to high school with, an old buddy. He had this in his Twitter bio, and I read it, and I was like, "That's electric!" Like, who? And I googled it. I was like, "Who said that?" And I couldn't find it anywhere. And I got it on our fridge right now.
Oh,
The quote in his bio or whatever. I don't know where this came from, but the quote was, "I hate the mob. I loathe the vulgar horde, and in the multitude, I find no joy." And like, man, that's hard.
that's a banging quote, man.
I mean, like, dude, like, you ever like surrounded by a shitload of people and it's just like, get me the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there wouldn't really be any of that anymore.
Right. Unless you were literally in the vulgar horde.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, all of these things that we loathe about society and like all that stuff would evaporate
Right.
and you just get new problems.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, I can't remember who said this quote, but it's like, it's easy to lose sight of the like importance of life because you think you have so many problems, and then like one bad thing happens and like that becomes the focus of your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, how like that would happen at the beginning. Be like, oh my last social media post didn't do too well, but old man Jenkins is getting eaten out on the street right now. We got different problems here. But how quickly would people fall back into that mindset where like the zombie apocalypse, this is our new norm, and I'm gonna find stupid, superficial things to complain about.
Right.
I just find it fascinating. Humans have this weird way of like adapting very quickly to their situation and immediately losing sight and perspective. Like
Right.
the perspective is kind of the key word here. This whole thing would put everything into perspective. Like,
Yeah.
what's actually important.
Right.
And maybe you should go about your life acting like the zombie apocalypse is going to happen tomorrow. Don't be a doomsday prepper per se, but treat people as such. And how do you preserve morale here?
I think it goes back to when we were talking about being a good leader. I mean, I think somebody that would be a good leader in that situation is someone who's realistic but also optimistic
Yeah.
and like is decisive. And I think you have to have a good mentality. Like if you're like, this sucks, like I'm just gonna all right, then you're dragging down the morale. A morale cancer.
Yeah.
You might have to whack this dude. Yeah. I mean,
They'd be the weakest link
yeah.
for sure. I mean,
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
and what role would faith play in this too?
A lot of people would lose faith.
Well, people would be very quick to be like, there is no God, blah, 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 this and that. And, despite what you believe and how you believe that God operates, it would be an interesting thing that you might see weaponized in all of this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I don't know. Hope is the main thing you would have to focus on.
Right.
And just faith that you can make it through, and that you would have to remain hope that there's decent people out there, because if we're sitting here talking about like, I would maybe help that person or whatever, odds are a lot of people are going to be thinking about that. Obviously, once survival instincts kick in, it's a little bit different, but you got to imagine it at a year, 2, 5 years in, like you said earlier, maybe people would be a little bit more willing to,
For sure, yeah.
at least conversate. Maybe they're not inviting you into their home to survive with them, but in passing, you approach each other, you exchange information or stories. Hell, we just came from this place. Don't go there. It's overrun, type of thing.
Yeah. You also never know. Like, did this person just get bit and got annexed from their crew?
Right.
So like, let's wait. Maybe you, hey, stand over there by that pole, and we're just gonna have a gun pointed at you for the next 3 hours.
Yeah.
If you pass that test, maybe we'll talk.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. That's
a lot
crazy,
of interesting
man.
debates, man.
I mean, it goes back to the question, like, what's the point? What's the point of trying to survive this? You know what I mean? Because how easy it would be to, rage quit.
Right. So easy.
Yeah, especially if you, have access to weapons, but it's for the good of humanity, right? To repopulate would hopefully be the ultimate goal here.
Right. The hope that, if there's a cure, if it's possible to find one, there's always hope, dude.
Yeah.
I don't care how grim the situation is.
Yeah.
There's always hope is something that you create in your mind, and your mindset informs your life. Like you can adopt like we're going to get through this and we're going to have fun doing it.
Yeah.
Like we got each other's backs. And like, I really just think that like that human instinct to survive doesn't get tested super often because we're never in like a life or death. We're not in life or death situations every day. But this is life or death every minute of every day. And I think, that instinct just kicks in, man.
Yeah. It's interesting. This is an Martin Luther King Jr. quote, but his super famous quote of "Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that." That quote, I find that, if you kind of substitute hope into that, I think that really has a lot of context here, and holds a lot of significance. Like, you have to continue to take MJ's advice and be the change you want to see. You know what I mean? Because how easily you could just fall into this like barbaric, I'm just going to kill everyone I see mindset. Right. But even like you have to what end? You're the last person on earth. You've killed everybody. All the zombies are dead. Then what? You know what I mean?
We should talk about that.
Yeah. We need other people to survive. So it's like, do you think that human beings would have the capacity to think about that in these moments of panic and, a literal apocalypse? Do you think people could have the foresight of, let's not kill each other unless we're a zombie?
I think a lot of people would.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would, but there's so many crazy people out there that I think a lot of people would lose that empathy and abandon it. And it's like survival becomes more important.
Yeah.
That's a threat. And we've talked about this, throughout the episode, but it's just, I I don't know, man. I hope I don't find out what it looks like.
Yeah.
But
this truly is one of my irrational fears. It's just like this idea of looking outside and there's like explosions and zombies running around.
Yeah.
You're like, what is happening?
Yeah.
What is it, Black Friday? I don't know.
Yeah.
That would not be fun, man. Let's pray that we never have to go through this, but it's good to know that we have a loose plan.
Yeah.
You know, if we can get to this,
It'd be cool if you could VR it sometime.
like simulate it.
Yeah, it'd be kind of sick.
Yeah. Do you remember that Rick and Morty episode where they're at it's like blips and chips.
Roy.
Yeah. And like, oh, you survived 56 years.
This dude doesn't have a social security for Roy. He's taking Roy off the grid. He's dialed in.
That's right. Simulate it, but it's the zombie apocalypse. That'd be wild.
All right, Big G.
It's
good talk.
It's been good eating your brain, brother. But more than anything else, it's been a good hang.
It's been a good hang.
Wow.